And hello. Once again, welcome back, everybody, to another exciting interview. Looking forward ahead to the upcoming event this Friday. Up on Sacer Events, we've got Joey Freefall up against BigMikey, facing off in Rose LTS, looking against each other once again. I believe. Did you guys come up against each other in the recent tournament? I actually can't recall off the top of my head.
No,
No?
right?
We did.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did?
it
Oh
was
yeah.
the final match in our pool
Oh, it
was
was in pools.
Mikey
Yeah,
and
I was
I.
thinking about the
Yeah.
bracket. I was thinking about the
Okay.
bracket.
So
hmm
no
It was in
bracket.
pools.
But
And
but
Joey
faced
won that
off.
one quite handedly, if I remember correctly.
I think we both got 35s. I think mine was a
Oh, you
very
know what?
low 35. It was actually PB pace, like pretty much the whole way, I remember.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try that. So, can you hear me? All good? All good?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we're talking about. You've obviously got a lot of history with the game in general. Heroes. You're the only heroes run on the card, so that'll be an interesting one for all of those people in that community to keep an eye on. When it comes to Rose in particular, and I guess Rose LTS as well. Why don't you tell me a little bit about sort of your backstory with the category and just kind of how it differs as opposed to some other different stories in Heroes. I'll start with you, Joey.
Yeah, so I've been running Heroes since I want to say 2015. And I started with Rose, and for a long time, Rose was like the only one that I really focused on. Um, and as far as LTS is concerned, like that kind of rose in popularity in like 2020. Before that, it wasn't really a thing. But
Mm.
kind of as the game got like more broken and like newer glitches were found and stuff, like it kind of drew people away from the game. And then as a result, LTS became a lot more popular because it was a lot more accessible and stuff. And that's kind of around like 2021, I want to say, is when the leaderboard started getting really serious, and I started to like try and lower my time as much as I could, and it's pretty crazy how far it's come at this point. Like, um, the world record's a 33, and I think like that was the unrestricted record. Only I want to say like, well, very close to it. Only like a couple years ago. So like the fact that LTS is almost caught up to where unrestricted used to be is pretty insane. Kind of a testament to like how far it's been pushed and stuff. And it's been really cool to be somewhat on the forefront of that. I I haven't really. I still need to catch up to Deku a little bit, but yeah, it's been fun. The tournament obviously was so sick. Like, it was like the first time that many people, or even close to that many people, were all focusing on the same category at once.
Mm.
And I think as a result, like it made a lot of us better at the game, both kind of the newcomers and the top runners. I think everyone benefited from that a lot. A lot of new stuff was found, and like
But yeah, no, pretty much picked up most of what you said exactly, just about the tournament and whatnot, and also just about how much the category's grown. Obviously, it's kind of been, it's done well because like as a relative outsider to Heroes and whatnot, hearing so many people talk about Rose and particularly LTS has been kind of out there. It's not like it's just kind of something that's stayed within its niche. People have been vocal. People have been out there trying to get people to try out the category, and it's worked out well. And as for you then, Mikey, with your sort of history with the category, don't know if you've been around as long as Joey has necessarily, but when it comes
Yeah,
to
no.
when it
Um
comes to Rose and heroes in general, what's your story?
I watched Joey's first Rose tutorial. I think the first Rose tutorial was unrestricted, right, Joey? Because it taught the bingo highway skip.
the very first iteration of it was, yeah.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
watched that tutorial in 2020. And so I've been around for like I'm a newcomer in a way, but most people I know who are running it now even started in the last year or two. So I've been around for I guess almost 2.5 or 3 years. I guess that kind of lines up.
Mhm. I think you're allowed
Um,
to say you're pretty old school at this point.
that's
In
kind of
terms of
crazy
like,
to say, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm old school now.
Yeah, when you get that
um,
big influx of newcomers as well, sort of like a new wave of runners, it
mhm,
kind of puts you in that position, I guess, as maybe a more experienced head.
yeah. Um, so I had been slowly working on all the categories for a couple years, and then during the Rose LTS tournament, I really like grinded my times down and was able to come out with a pretty decent time in my opinion. I'm pretty happy with my time, but I know how much it can improve because I was watching it today actually. Um and some of those individual levels, like some moments were insane. Other moments were god awful. So I know how much I have left to squeeze out of the category.
Well, I was actually going to ask about that in particular. When it comes to where you're at with the category and sort of pushing it further and goals and whatnot, is there anything in particular that you're sort of reaching out for right now? Is there anything that you've got short term, long term that you're still pushing for right now?
Mm. Well, Joey, RPBs are what, 10 seconds apart? They're
Yeah, they're very close at the moment.
very close. So
Yeah.
gone forever.
Oh, hello?
Also, I
Damn it,
don't
what are
know if
you
we're filling dead air or if
Hello. Okay. We appear to have gotten the British internet fixed at the expense of my face, so I think we're alright.
Okay.
Should be okay. It's funny. After 11 o'clock, British internet goes kind of funny, especially if you live
I've
where I
heard
do.
about that.
But yeah,
I've heard about that.
oh my
we've
god.
all got to be
That's
in
a
bed by
thing.
11, so, they take appropriate measurements.
That's typically no problem for me. I'm always in bed by like Joey knows. Joey will go live at like 9:30 and I'm like, "Man, I can't show up. I'm in bed."
But there we go. We seem to be okay for the time being. I think we're okay. But, sorry, we lost you sort
Cool.
of right as you were starting to speak about just kind of your goals with Rose LTS then.
Okay. We were just talking about how me and Joey's PBs are only about 10 seconds apart. So maybe if I get back in tip-top shape, me and him can push the category together a little bit. But we have not been at that level since the tournament, since the Rose LTS tournament. But
Mm.
I think we can get back to it. Taking small breaks from heroes and going back to it, like you just get cleaner every time.
Yeah, for
Yeah, it
sure.
is
And is
kind of
that kind
weird.
of the same thing for you, Joey?
Yeah, I would say so. I always derust a little quicker than I'm expecting to.
Hmm.
Like going into this, like I really only plan to maybe do a stream of Rose on Friday, and then I think I can basically be not maybe not quite 34 level, but like low 35, mid to low 35, hopefully I'm thinking. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of
My
crazy how like you don't really lose you don't rust too much in this game if you're playing other
Hmm.
categories.
yeah, and we've both been playing other categories a lot, so
Hmm.
should not fail us too much. But my strategy for derusting has always just been go to like challenge mode, like select your stage, and I just play each stage one after the other, and like familiarize myself with everything again. That's how I always do it.
Okay, well,
So I
there
feel
you
like
go.
we'll be in pretty good shape.
We'll see, we'll see. But there you go. You mentioned obviously another thing there being, how close you guys are together on the board in terms of PB times and whatnot. But obviously, you guys know each other fairly well and have come up against each other in a lot of different scenarios. Tournament weighing one, on the boards going up against each other, and I know you're good friends in real life too. So generally, when it comes to going up against each other, what are sort of the pros, the cons? What makes it entertaining? What makes it challenging? Uh, for you, Mikey, what sort of are the ups and downs of going up against Joey?
Hmm. Well, there's so much like it's so different between going up against someone in something where you're both playing against each other and both just doing things separately. Like a speedrun
Mm,
race is you both just play the game and whoever does it faster wins. But if we are playing a game like Mario Kart or if you're playing Smash or Mario Party, you have to know how the other person plays. I feel like for this one it's just about like just got to get solid and be consistent, know what you want to do, and hope you play to your standards. But I will
Mm.
say, I do typically, I know Joey does not, but I like to watch stream as the race goes on and see who's in the lead by how much and see if I need to try to pull out some crazy strats to get a
Mm.
lead back or if I need to, you know, pump the brakes and kind of chill and not do something too risky to keep the lead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure, sure.
So in that way, I do end up playing it as if I'm playing against someone.
Absolutely. And then, so for you, Joey, like Mikey just mentioned there, one difference there being you're not really much of a stream watcher when it comes to these races. But in particular, with Mikey going up against him, again, same kind of question. What sort of makes it tough? What makes it challenging? What makes it fun? What are the best things about going up against Mikey?
I think it's so cool. Like, well, it's just cool for me because, like Mikey talked about, he learned from my tutorial, and it was like it doesn't feel that long ago. It was a couple years, but I can still like vividly remember him kind of like learning the game and grinding his time down, and like especially by the time the tournament came around, like he had really leveled up in like the last few months to the point where like you could make a case that he's like on my level, if not even a little bit better than me at certain points. So like I'm like always kind of motivated to try and win when I'm up against someone like him or Deku or something, where it's like it's like a valuable win to have, you know.
Mm.
So I always try and keep that in mind and like prepare as best as I can. Um, and yeah, like Mikey said, like so much of speedrunning is like really mental for me.
Mm.
And I typically try to avoid like having the chat open, having the stream open. Um, I don't really want to know anything, right? And like,
Mm.
it's kind of like I'm like almost the exact opposite to what Mikey was saying about how he wants to like play according to how the race is going. Like I always play by the book. I'm like I these are the strats I do and these are the strats I've practiced and that's what I'm going to
Yeah.
stick to no matter what. Cuz if I try to deviate, like that's when my confidence starts to waver. So I like to just play exactly the same every time if I can.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you mentioned that. Um, in regards to just kind of having that plan that you stick to, an approach that you kind of keep the same no matter what, or try and avoid getting distracted into changing it up, I suppose. When it comes
Mhm.
to that approach, as opposed to, you know, what maybe Mikey will do, what are the differences in your game? What are the sort of main strengths for you in the category that you feel are probably going to give you an advantage over Mikey then?
Um an advantage?
What stages are you going to think maybe I've got the edge on this one and such?
Um That's a tough question. I mean, I guess like Casino Park, I've always been very strong at, but that's a pretty short one. Um,
Hmm. We
I
just
don't know.
handed
There
Mikey
aren't
the
many.
advantage. There's not
I
much.
maybe like Egg Fleet. I don't know. It's so hard. Like I
Hmm.
said, like Wiki's leveled up, and I think if we're both playing a 10 out of 10, we're going to see very similar times across the entire game. Like
Yeah.
it's really not a question of like which levels are X person better at. It's more
Hmm.
like who's more consistent and who's just gonna have the better run overall. It's like a lot more big picture than
Hmm.
just like pointing out levels that people are better at, I think, in this
For
case
sure.
anyway.
Yeah, for
Yeah. I
sure.
mean,
And
I guess Seagate. Seagate,
we'll
I've got
see.
an edge on him for sure.
Yeah, you definitely have the Seagate edge. If I could bounce off of that, I do think that like if none of us makes major mistakes, it's going to file time. Like you will not know
Yeah.
who wins the race until we go into the options menu and look at the
Yeah.
IGT. Like
I mean that
it could be crazy.
that'd be
But I do
ideal,
think that
really. That's what we want.
I think I'm a little more likely to have some sort of error happen. Just because I don't know, I always go for a lot of wild shit sometimes.
It's so interesting because out of all the interviews I've done, there's like there's so much humility and humbleness when it comes to sort of like, no, I'll be the one making the mistakes and whatnot. Except for Scoob, who mentioned, I don't think I'm gonna make any mistakes or something along those lines.
That's awesome. I gotta watch that.
You know, respect the confidence, but it's just so interesting to see like that kind of general level of, you know, like, yeah, it's possible for me to mess up, but I'll try my best kind of attitude across the board. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for sure. And then obviously what we've got going on with this whole thing as a whole, we've obviously got a lot of variety. We've got a lot of different types of matchups and categories and whatnot. I know you both have dipped your toes into different categories, different games and such. When it comes to anything like this, in terms of maybe doing another exhibition match for a different game or a different category, for each of you, is there anything that you might want to dip your toes into? Is there any sort of matchup with any particular opponent that you might sort of like to eye up in the future? I'll ask Joey.
All stories LTS, all stories race. A 4-hour race. What was it, 4:30?
Like 4.5 hours.
4.5
whole
hours,
stories.
that's the one.
How does Heroes All Stories include last?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great category. But yeah, no, if there was anything outside of sort of Heroes, and maybe even outside of Heroes, that tickled your fancy, would there be anything that you kind of have in mind, or anybody that you have in mind?
Anything, Joey?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like Chaotix like Team Chaotix or Team Sonic would be a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
I don't really, I'm not a huge Team Dark fan personally, but I would be down to watch people do that. And as far as people go, like, yeah, Mikey, Aura, Deku, like, I think any combination of us four is going to be a really good race.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
The usual
Yeah.
tops at the Heroes level.
Yeah, and then I guess like in another game, maybe like Hero Story versus like, I don't know. KPL is quite a bit better than me now, but I think it could still be a good race potentially.
He's still pretty fresh on the scene, so you know, maybe that consistency could make for a good one. Yeah, no, for sure, that'd be a cool one to watch. And then Mikey, you mentioned about the all stories there. But, anything else in particular that might be on the cards for you?
I'm not super practiced in any other Sacer era. Actually, maybe I could do neutral story glitchless shadow race versus someone. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we don't have a shadow race on this card, so because the only two people who were sort of possible weren't available. So
I love that game. I think it's a great speed run. It's a little underloved, underran, but I digress. I think it's awesome. And
100%.
I grinded neutral glitchless for like a month, I think. It was really fun.
So yeah, would be a good thing to get more and more shadow action on here. Obviously hoping to see more of that as the year goes on. And then when it comes to, obviously you guys both competed recently in the tournament. Not just the Rose tournament, obviously you've had a couple other ones under your belt as well. I know you were both in that Hero Story tournament 2022. When it comes to preparing for sort of something like that, like a long slog, you know, kind of multiple match tournament that you kind of got to take day by day, versus kind of like a one-off exhibition, which I know you guys, I think, have both competed in a couple of those as well. What's sort of like the difference mentally and maybe in terms of going in, knowing what you got to do? What is the difference there for each of you? I'll start with Mikey.
I pretty much handle them both the same way, honestly. I'll grind up to where, like, hopefully I de-rust and I grind and maybe I even get a PB, but I want to be at that level or like close to it. And then day of the match, I just play the levels I think I'm the worst at. And when I get them, then I just go into the run.
So
just like make sure I'm practiced up, make sure I'm like mostly clean, and then get the problem areas out of the way, and then hit the go live button.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's for sure. And then for you, Joey, any differences in sort of your approach, or because I know you did mention earlier about kind of that same consistency kind of thing that you like, but when
Hmm.
it comes to a one-off match versus a tournament,
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely take tournaments a lot more seriously. I would say I prepare a lot more.
mm,
Uh, but I mean, the Rose one was really the only like tournament that Heroes has ever had. I mean, I guess you mentioned like I was part of Heroes Store, and I definitely did prepare a lot for that too.
mm,
Um, but for like a Heroes tournament, that's definitely something that like means a lot to me. So I try to be like I try to like be at PB level if I can. Um, like something like this, I just kind of see as fun.
sure,
I
yeah,
will like I will derust at least a little bit just so that it's a good showing and stuff. But um, tournament is like where I really like try my best to win because like I think it's just more fun that way if everyone's like uh at the top of their game.
yeah, for sure, squeezing the best
Yeah.
out of each other. So
Hmm.
yeah, no, I like the sound of all that. It's looking like this one's going to be a really, really good match to look forward to. Definitely a fun one, for sure. Always good to see any heroes action, especially with you two. But obviously, on the rest of the card, we've got a couple of other matches for people to look forward to. Is there anything that sort of stood out to you that you kind of are going to be keeping an eye on? Anything you'll be tuning into? Joey,
Uh,
anything that you kind of like the look of?
um,
Pulls up the
what was
card.
it? It was Broby versus Superior and Sadix, right?
Yeah, Sonic
That
Story.
Sonic story. Yeah, that'd be cool. I've been getting to know Superior a little better because he actually started running Rose recently, so he's my
Oh, for
boy.
real?
I'll definitely be cheering
Yeah,
for
he
him.
gets around. He
Yeah.
does. He's doing sad Excel stories. He's obviously done pretty well for himself in SA2 and
Yeah.
jumping into Heroes too. So
Yeah, if you
yeah.
give Heroes a shot, then you're a homie in my book. Yeah.
Well, there you go. And then Mikey, for you, anything that you kind of that's caught your eye?
Well, I'm hoping to watch everything, honestly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just see notifications, Sacer went live. I'm watching that.
Whatever it may
But
be.
I mean, I have watched a decent amount of Labrys grinding for Silver Story, so I know like how much that means to him. So I'm excited to see that match in particular.
Mm. Yeah, so that would be a good one. Obviously, going up against Focus, who's a little bit more rusty when it comes to the whole thing, but still going to be a really competitive match. As is every match on on this card. I feel is that's kind of been the idea, I suppose, really behind it, bringing together two runners who are going to at least give each other a game, not really anything anybody can look at and go, yeah, that's kind of going to be a sweep. So hopefully every match, like you say, is going to be a good, entertaining one. But when it
Yeah.
comes to anything sort of potential, for anything like this in the future, if you could pick one category, two runners to face it off, anything, any game, what are you choosing?
Hmm. Maybe Deku or a Sonic Story unrestricted.
Okay.
You mean Team Sonic or
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Team Sonic, not Sonic Story. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
the
Deku
story that
just
has
started
Sonic
learning
in it.
Sadix. That one's not going to be fair. Well, there we go.
That'd be
Yeah, no,
really
that's,
funny if my answer was like two runners playing a game they've never played in their life.
Oh
that would be
yeah,
a good
yeah,
one, though.
definitely.
That would actually be kind of interesting just to see who can
It,
learn on the fly the quickest.
Actually,
it
what
would
about
be
what
funny.
about Rose LTS KPL versus Vintage McNugget?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That'd be a
That'd be
banger.
hype. Because they're going back and forth bopping each other recently, or at
Oh,
least
for real.
Vintage bopped KPL. So, or he tied him to the second. Is that true? I think he tied him.
He did, yeah. Hmm.
So yeah, that'd be a cool match. PBs
There
are
you
tied to the
APL versus
second.
Vintage would be really good. The trash talk would be
go.
Yeah,
prime.
they're both
Yeah.
very trash talk oriented people.
Oh, for sure. Well, KPL I knew. I didn't know so much about vintage, so that's
Oh
a good one.
yeah,
I'd like to
yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
maybe make it happen. Maybe we'll make it happen. But Joey, for you, any sort of dream matchups that you would like to see?
My answer was very similar to Mikey's. I was just gonna say Deku Aura and Sonic LTS, just because I think I've always thought LTS is just better for races. I'd say like unrestricted is cool for marathons and like showcases and stuff, and then LTS is better for races. That's kind of how I've always seen it.
Yeah, it's kind of, it doesn't come down to those precise sort of executions.
Exactly. Yeah. KPL Vintage would be really, really cool. What else? Maybe like Revo versus Deku and Team Dark. I don't think that's ever happened. And
Yeah,
they're
that was
both
an
really, really good.
opportunity to get Team Dark maybe on the front page a little bit more.
Also, Revo is just like insanely good at this game, and I don't think he's ever been a part of like a Sacer event, so it'd be cool to get him on.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll see. Oh, absolutely see. So yeah, it's nice to hear that Heroes has so many potential matchups. You know, it's definitely one to keep an eye on, and hopefully a few more Heroes matches on these kind of things in the future. I know we got some more Heroes content coming up later in the month. Obviously, the Chaotix LTS, but is it LTS BTRL or is it just regular old Chaotix?
No, it's LTS.
LTS.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so that'll be a definite interesting watch for sure. But yeah, no, there we go. So that kind of just about rounds us up in terms of interview questions and whatnot. So yeah, I'll say thank you guys both for hopping on in here, and best of luck in the match and best of luck in general. See you both on February 11th. But before we go, is there anything left that you want to send as a final message to your opponent? Joey, anything you want to say to Mikey before we sign off?
Good luck. Should be very close. It'd be funny if we both messed up in the exact same spots.
It sounds like you're trying to coordinate something.
Gentleman's messing up Emperor.
We could gentleman's second goal ring somewhere.
God.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Or special stage.
Special stage, that'd be funny. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
And then there you go. Mikey, anything to say to Joey?
Well, after you said that you de-rest for tournaments way more than exhibition matches, I'm feeling a little better about this.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, good luck for sure. I think it's going to be great no matter what happens.
Absolutely, 100%. So can't wait to see this one. As for as same goes for the rest of the matches on the card. But thank you both for hopping on in and having a good time here. It's been a good interview, and I hope you both have enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to the match and the rest of the event. For the time being, then I'm gonna let you both go. I'm gonna go to bed because it's now midnight. But yeah, thank you both for hopping on in, and have the good rest of your day. Take care then, gamers.
Thank you for having us.
No, a pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Have a good night.
All right, take care, guys. Bye bye.
See ya.